All right, perfect. Welcome back to the Live Loud Life podcast, guys. My name is Dr. Antonio, your host, and today we are here with Chris Johnson, who is the owner of Cerus Fitness out here. Are you guys technically in Erie? Is this Erie?
Is Frederick.
Oh, it's Frederick.
Yeah.
Erie, Frederick area. But I'm going to let Chris go ahead and introduce himself, and we're going to get in talking a little bit about OCR racing and some of the things that he enjoys doing and what they're doing here at their facility as far as training and whatnot. So, Chris, take it away.
Let's see. So, founded Cirrus in 2017, and recently in the last year we restructured to incorporate and kind of make this facility possible. And our goal as a company has always been to get people to live a lifestyle of fitness, a healthy lifestyle, and ways to bring about that healthy lifestyle in a sustainable way. So our business model has always been creating exciting events, which obstacle races is what we became known for early on, and then putting a lot of things in between those events so that they always have something to work on, strive for, and stay engaged in fitness.
What other events outside of OCR have you guys done?
We've done a lot. So, I mean, we've done things as small as kickball and spikeball tournaments.
Cool.
And we have a series called Cirrus Forge, which is a small team-based event. And we did one in Boulder right before the pandemic hit called Forge Ascent, where the teams had to strategize how to gain the most elevation within 4 hours. And we had a bunch of checkpoints along the way that they could gain more elevation. We did one called Key to the City, where we put them in the center of Denver and we gave them a medal, and it had a bunch of holes bored out, and then we gave them a physical map, and they had to find a way to orient the medal on top of the map and hit every checkpoint before time expired in the city.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I didn't know you guys did
those yeah. So, and then we just released our new series, Cirrus Bricks, which we just completed our third event, which is kind of CrossFit meets obstacle racing. And it's divided into 4 sections: speed, strength, agility, and endurance. And they're each completed individually as time trials.
Yeah.
And so we did that with individuals, and then 2-person teams where you're each kind of dividing and conquering, and 4-person teams.
Do you? So I think I'm trying to rephrase here. You guys have been best known for the OCR obstacle course racing. Is that what do you like being known most for that, or do you like, we have all this other stuff, guys? Like, do people? I'm just trying to get a feel. It sounds like, I knew you guys mostly from that, and even talking with you multiple times, I didn't know you guys did all that other stuff.
Yeah, I think it was a great way to put us on the map. And, even with our facility, we have a lot of true OCR stuff. I think in the background you can see.
Yeah. So hopefully if you guys are listening to this, go to YouTube and try to see the video. I'll try to do some B-roll footage of the actual facility as well over it, so you guys can get a glance and a feel of the facility. How big is you guys just opened this in the midst of the pandemic and everything else, which is crazy and cool. Tell us a little bit about the facility and why'd you structure it this way? Why'd you set it up this way?
Sure. So it's a 10,000 square foot facility, and it's a very large open format. And you can hear some people working out in the background. Very large and open. We wanted it to be a family feel, and then we brought in a lot of the expensive equipment, like the treadmills and stuff that we feel like are staples, and then we kind of partitioned it into zones. So we have a boxing zone to my right. We have an open AstroTurf to my left, and then some really big rigs that you can lift off and do CrossFit style stuff off, traditional lifting as well as obstacle racing stuff. So yeah, we kind of structured it so that it's not too big that you can kind of go in and out and nobody knows who you are, because we really wanted the community feel, but it's also not too small where you can only have one thing going on at a time. And I think that's one of the things that studios and smaller CrossFits and they struggle with. You can only really have a class going on at a time, and
For sure.
The rest of the gym shut down. So that's kind of how we came about this size of this place and designing it.
And so you guys have classes here. Do you also have just memberships where people can get a membership and come in whenever?
Yeah. So there's always open training, and so we have different memberships where You can just do open training, or it's open training plus an amount of classes.
So how long? When did Cirrus?
It's all good.
It's spelled differently, Cerus. So it always
Yeah.
just throws me off for
It's
whatever
Greek
reason.
mythology, man.
Oh wait, tell me the background behind why you chose it and what the name means for you guys.
So there's obviously about 1 million fitness companies, and when we were looking at starting, we wanted it to be an original name that we could build original branding around. And so in Greek mythology, Taurus, you've heard of Taurus, the bull, that's a constellation. So when he was on Earth causing trouble, he was Cirrus the bull.
Oh.
And then when he got cast up, because he basically was going around and kind of destroying cities and stuff, when he got cast up in the constellation, he became known as Taurus. But on Earth, he was Cirrus, and we did research, and there's like one other Cirrus company we could find in the entire world.
Yeah.
So and the branding around the bull and stuff gave us a unique opportunity, and it works well with fitness and strength and stuff.
For sure.
That's how we came about it.
That is cool. I never knew that. And so when did Cirrus first come onto the map? When did you guys first start it?
Well, I mean, I started in my basement in 2017, like every other business starts, right?
Yeah.
And then we did our first event. We launched as like an online workout website.
Okay.
I don't like looking at that old footage of, recordings of me doing exercises, and everybody starts somewhere.
For sure, dude. That's awesome, though.
And and then we designed a workout sandbag. That was our first product. And then our first event or race was late in 2017, and it was actually called the Try Love for Orphans Obstacle Challenge because I partnered with a charity and we did it as a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I guess, gave us the appetite for, hey, obstacle races are a really great way to showcase your overall athletic ability and give you things to train for other than just running.
Yeah.
They're diverse. So that's that's how we started to be known for it, because after that, the next year I released 2 races, Cirrus Ruck and Cirrus Love, 2 obstacle races, and then we did 2 in 2019 as well, and then 0 in 2020.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool though, man. You went right off the bat, just started doing the training, and then just went with the first event and just rolled with it. Like right in that same year.
Yeah, I mean, I think any new business needs to be able to adapt and find opportunities, and we found a good one. There was, I think pretty quickly we were the only Northern Colorado obstacle race. So there was an opportunity there, and I think for me, I love kind of the creative, innovative side of fitness, and so it gave me opportunities to think, we're going to make this an obstacle and really showcase people's strength and things like that. And so it was a great outlet, and then I got connected with a lot of really great people who knew their stuff in obstacle racing, and that was off to the races.
Why the sandbag first?
So our whole business model is focused on like a total lifestyle fitness. So that's something you can do at home, in here at the facility, and then to prepare you for basically anything you want to do with fitness, right? Hiking, obstacle racing.
Yeah.
And so all of our products that we design from the ground up are meant to be products you wouldn't use anywhere other than like home or on the side of a mountain, stuff like that. Like our rucksack is like an adventure pack is what we call it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the first opportunity. And if you use a sandbag to train, you can do like 150 exercises, I think we've counted.
Oh yeah.
With like one tool. So
what's nice too is like once you buy the bag, right? The implementing and filling it's super cheap and easy.
Yeah, it's I think you spend like $3 on sand.
Yeah.
And so it was, again, another opportunity where it's like, this fits really well with what we're trying to build. And we seized on it, worked with a developer locally on prototypes, and then we were off to the race. Yeah, we're coming back to OCR this year. So I was actually on site yesterday at Platte River Fort Resort in Greeley.
Okay.
So we're coming back on June 5th to our Cirrus Ruck race, which is cool. It was recognized as, I think, one of the top 100 races in the country, which is a cool thing because you actually, the competitive waves actually wear a weighted rucksack during it, except for the obstacles. So it's a pretty tough race, 5-mile course. And so, yeah, figuring out how that's going to work with COVID, we had a pretty good plan, and we worked with the facility, the Platte River Fort folks. And so we have a plan in place that we could basically execute today if nothing changed with COVID. And so, yeah, that race is going to happen. And then we'll be back in Greeley or LaSalle at Fritzler Farm Park for our second OCR. So we're back to races, which will be great. And then we released our Cirrus Bricks Open just a couple days ago. So that's an open month of competing to better yourself, basically. So it's something anybody can do. So we'll release a speed, strength, agility, and endurance workout.
Okay.
And then they have a month to log their best time. So they come in here, they have a judge, and they do speed for the judge. The judge logs their time, and then the leaderboards keep getting updated throughout the month. At the end of the month, there's a cut. We go down to the top 2/3, and then 2 more workouts come out. And then we cut down to a third, and those the third remaining can enter into our championship that we're going to do this summer, which will be a small field of competitors, and they're going to compete for $3,000.
Oh, dang. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
cool, man. What were you doing prior to 2017? Were you doing training? Were you doing personal training or coaching and strength training before that as well?
Yes. So I started as a personal trainer working with professional boxers for a long time. So I started by boxing myself, and I lost like 75 pounds. And then I became a trainer, started working with pro men, heavyweights, getting them ready for fights, strength and conditioning, got my certification, all that stuff. And then I had the side hustle job up all the way until last October. As a project manager, directing a team for project management at a software company.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So,
yeah. The early on the survival of the personal trainer.
yeah. So, but yeah, I was at a boxing gym called Front Range Boxing Academy out of Boulder for many years. They're very near and dear to my heart. And
is that the one that's right off of Foothills? That
yeah.
like old brown looking
the
building?
Quonset hut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave is a good personal friend of mine, and so I learned everything I know about boxing from him. And then learning to work with athletes and stuff, I brought something to kind of his training team that I could work with a lot of the athletes he was already working with.
Yeah, that's
in
awesome.
Strength and conditioning. Yeah,
that's cool. I didn't know that. I knew you boxed from just seeing stuff over the years, but how that story developed is really cool.
Yeah, that was the boxing was a milestone for me. So coming out of college, I weighed like 250 pounds.
Okay.
And so I ended up fighting at light heavyweight at 177 at the end of my fitness journey. Getting to that point, and then the sustainability part, which is kind of what Cirrus is all about, really struck me of like, it's one thing getting there. It's another thing living a life of fitness.
Yeah.
So
especially with business and now kids, right?
Yeah. And it became ingrained in my, my habits and stuff. Like I still do my boxing run routine to this day.
Okay. And so what's that?
It's 5 a.m. every day.
Okay.
I have modified it slightly so I can train in the gym effectively in my 30s, which is different than my young 20s. But it used to be 3 to 5 miles with about 10 to 15 hill sprints, and that was how you started. And then when I was competing, it would be about 2 to 3 hours in the gym, then getting ready, technique, and then also conditioning.
Yeah.
So I kept the running part of it. I dialed it down to base training. So I run pretty slow in the morning so that I can come in here and do hits and stuff.
Yeah, get after it a little bit more.
Yeah, so I run like 1,300 miles a year, and that's kind of been the norm for the last 12 years, 13 years.
What do you want aside from the kind of mission statement and everything that you shared? What do you really want Cirrus to be known for?
I think just impacting people's lives in a positive way and creating a powerful community that has the ability to like make meaningful change in people's lives. So, our mission statement is to impact 100,000 people's lives through fitness. And I think the most powerful thing you can do is building a community around that. So you bring in a lot of people who are either disenfranchised, they feel like, I could never be as fit as that person. And then you bring them alongside people who've lived this lifestyle of fitness, and you make them understand kind of how that works. And okay, so instead of just sharing a beer, we're going to work out first and stuff. And that becomes kind of ingrained in you. And so doing that at scale, I think, is kind of our mission. And this is the first step.
That's awesome, man. So just looking at all the cool stuff that you got, obviously there's a lot that is very specific for training for, I'll say this a different way. The equipment's not there to train in like a specific way, because what you guys are doing is obviously a lot of different stuff because you want a dynamic athlete. What do you think a lot of people are missing from their general training? And no goals aside, right? Because, everyone's got specific goals, so it'd be obviously beneficial to be very specific. But from just kind of a GPP platform,
Yeah.
Coming off a couple other conversations we have, like, some people run.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just a lack of diversity?
I would say diversity.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I work with some pro athletes who are really phenomenal athletes, and find out that many of them did very little strength training, for example, and understanding the benefits of strength training. Working with a barbell is something maybe a little bit intimidating to start with, and the same thing. Some of the boxers that have come in here that I've worked with early on, there are a lot of things, like in boxing. There's an old school mentality of like, if you're ever going to have to lose weight, you should never lift weights. And so breaking through that, that used to exist. They also used to eat full steaks before they would fight too, and bring all that blood in your gut. But I think the general lack of diversity, which is kind of like, we offer 47 classes a week now, and I think I see that everybody's drawn to like one specific thing, and they want to get in something that they're comfortable with, because being uncomfortable sucks, right? And so I think you see so many people who come from different backgrounds, and they're opposed to trying something new and different. I have people who come from CrossFit, and they want to do CrossFit, and then we give them an opportunity to try something different, like our strength class or our stamina class, and they're like, whoa, this is something I haven't done before, and it is actually beneficial to me beyond just my standard CrossFit workout. And so I think everybody gets comfortable, and getting them in a place where they're uncomfortable is really beneficial to their overall fitness journey, and making them a well-rounded athlete, and expose them to things that they didn't know they might have even liked.
So how do you guys approach your programming then to encompass that? Do you have cycles? Do the cycles spin off and kind of pair or bounce off of each other? I.e., we're coming into this cycle, and this cycle is then going to prepare you for the next cycle, or is it more just, not that I'm saying everything is just varied and just random, right? How do you guys kind of take that approach in with your programming to make sure that we are getting all the diversity possible?
That's a great question. So for every class, it's different, but let's HIT is our most popular class, so I focus on that. So for HIT, we have basically a series of benchmarks, and we do one of those benchmarks every Monday. And so they can come back, and we cycle through that whole thing every 3 months. So they can come back and compare their progress specific to these HIT workouts. So some of them are kind of repurposed CrossFit. Some of them are workouts that we just know kick your butt and give you a good understanding where you're at physically. And then all of the workouts are different, constantly varied, but we'll include common themes. So something like every workout is going to be barbell based for the next couple of weeks. And then always, like, the benchmark thing was a big deal for us. And it wasn't something we had day one. We kind of pivoted into it so that you can really always understand that you've progressed from A to B to where you are now. And all of the tracks are that way, but they're different. I mean, like, when I do our boxing class, it's different because we're developing skill as well as fitness. And so for that, there's a constant layering of, you knew how to move in the correct stance, and now we're going to teach you how to do this with this punch. And so, but that's how kind of all the workout tracks work.
Do you think, I'm just thinking from like the clientele and the population and the patients that we see, right? How much of it is maybe more of a lack of skill acquisition than actual like strength? Like, I see a lot of people, they're actually really strong, and their maybe capacity or their endurance or their aerobic training is decent. Obviously everything can be improved, right? But you just see a lot of gaps in just the sheer amount of skill acquisition or movement capabilities that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And so how much of that do you see? Is that like a obviously, we're not saying the gym is not caring about how you move, right? But how much of that do you just think really affects people, or do you think it's more people actually do move well, they just don't push themselves hard enough?
That's a great question. I think skill acquisition, like you said, is a big deal. And I think a company that's done well with that is CrossFit, because they spend a lot of time teaching like correct form and stuff. And I think as long as you can kind of instill in everybody that, hey, there's no shame in not knowing how to do this correctly. We're going to spend time, even if you've done this 100 times, learning how to do this new move, and then keep introducing new moves. I think that kind of forces them to learn. And again, it's doing something uncomfortable, and nobody wants to be the one to raise their hand and say, I have no idea how to do a hang clean, right? And then so their tendency, right, is to just pick up the bar and do it wrong and jack up their back, or or stay away from any workout that might have them do something uncomfortable. So we do at the beginning. So we normally start with like a warm up sequence, and then there's usually some skill based thing. So hey, you're going to see a lot of these movements. We're going to go through correct form. Make sure you don't mess yourself up. And everybody's doing it. We don't really care where you're at. And I think one of those things, we don't require that people have a certain level of skill to take our classes. So there's always this base level instruction in all of our classes.
That's good, because that was going to be one of my other questions. Like, can anyone come in if they've never lifted before? Can anyone come in and just do the classes? It's obviously the coach is going to be able to modify and do it. Or do you guys have like intro to lifting on ramp kind of programs or classes?
No, we don't have the type of on ramp thing. And so what we do is we don't introduce a ton of technical stuff at once. So it'll be a couple of new movements that are in the workout and they're part of it and they're utilized throughout. And then we teach everybody at the same place, because I've found that when you do those intro type classes, it's a barrier to entry. For me, for what I've seen from my experience with other gyms, they go, well, I don't want to be kind of in the ones who are not ready to work out with everybody else group.
Yeah, the newbies.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to be a newbie, but I feel like I'm kind of
right. Or I think I know enough. I shouldn't be going through a class like this, right? And a lot of gyms will require you do that.
Yep.
So the way that we handled it is just basically it's on us and our trainers to make sure everybody is correctly informed on how to do the important moves. So there's always a technique review, as there should be, I hope, at every other gym.
Yeah, that's good. So I'm curious, just because I'm biased, and as a coach myself, if I'm doing some online programming or someone, like I'm biased towards a couple movements. What are some of the movements that you guys are biased towards that you're doing a lot of at the gym, or that you find just maybe indirectly? Dang, we program this a lot. We're like, well, it's good. We like it. It's good, and it gets people fit.
That's a really great question. I think we go through waves, where we find ourselves doing the same move like for a couple of weeks, and we'll go, holy cow, we've done a lot of deadlifts lately. Deadlifts has been one here. Like we did a deadlift ladder earlier this week. We had deadlifts in our Cirrus Bricks Open, which required 30 reps. So a lot of deads. Thrusters are kind of making a recent move. Unfortunately, I hate thrusters in a good way. And wall balls too. Oh, the same type of move. But yeah, it comes in waves. What's yours?
I mean, I'm partially just because where my training's at, it's usually always kettlebell. So mine are kettlebell cleans and kettlebell snatches.
Okay.
I do those a lot.
Yeah.
But just biased personally, like, I'm like, I hit everything when I do those two things.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't do enough squatting. My chicken legs show that.
I don't either.
I don't do enough squatting. That's one of those things, like for me, I know like my body is built to pull for deadlifts and all that stuff. I go really well. And this is, again, I'm being completely, cherry picking here. It's just, I know I'm good for that. And I know I need to do more of the other stuff.
Yeah. I think it helps that we have different trainers too, who are programming their own stuff, because, somebody like Rich, our head trainer, he's always putting in moves that I hate to do and would never program myself. And then I put in things that he would hate to do as revenge, and also because I'm better at them because he avoids them. So so there's that aspect to it. And
it's good though, because like I think one of the hardest things about programming and training, right, is not doing too many different things. That's the tough part, is everyone's like, well, I want everything to be always just varied and different, so that it's always, but like progress comes from repetitions of doing the exact same thing oftentimes over and over.
Yeah, I think that's what we use a program called SugarWOD here. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but basically if you're consistently logging your workouts, you can actually benchmark all of your progress. So like on every lift. And for me, it's super valuable because I'll go back. I usually do, after my run in the morning, I come in and do like 2 barbell lifts, and I can, even if it's been a week, I can see exactly where I was at. And then, try to, like you said, master that thing so that you're not just basically bouncing around from thing to thing. And I have no idea. I haven't done a hang clean in 6 months. I don't know what I'm doing. What weight am I? Stuff like that. So I think there's a due diligence side to that.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a good point. This has been awesome, man. I love the facility. I love what you guys are doing. You guys can probably see if you're watching, I'm peeking around in the background just to get a sense of what the class is. What's one thing that maybe we didn't talk about that you want to share? If not, that's fine. We'll kind of wrap up and see if there's anything else we missed about what you guys are doing, what you're hoping to do, what people should know about you if they want to come check it out.
I can't think of anything we didn't cover in terms of content. I think I would just reiterate that what we're trying to do, which other companies are trying to do as well, is something that all people are welcome to. And so I think one thing that I talk with a lot of our newer people about is there's an intimidation factor to joining any
Yeah.
place
Yeah,
and
yeah.
starting anything new, and I know that it's scary, and try to take that plunge and that first step. And usually in most of the communities you'll walk into, you'll be amazed at how welcome and open those people are, and make new friends. So be emboldened and try something new, and join some people, and join that lifestyle of fitness. That's what we're passionate about here.
Yeah, and it's in just like with anything, right? It's finding the people, it's finding the community, it's finding the coaches that you just jive with. Like I've been to a number of different gyms. Some were good, some were bad, and some of them were great. You just didn't, maybe
Wasn't for you.
fill
Yeah.
it out. But the only way is if you come. But you got to give
Yeah.
it an honest chance too, because I think a lot of people, they come in and there's like, I didn't like that first one. I was like, it was one time.
Yeah, it's like one workout.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like, oh, I didn't see progress. Well, like, well, how much time did you actually spend? I saw this actually I don't know why it just came into mind. This meme or post on Instagram today, and someone, it basically was saying like before. How did it go? It was something about checking your attendance before you judge your progress, right?
I like that.
And it was really good because one of the things that I've been focusing on, one of the themes for myself personally this year, is accountability and just going through the process. And, I'm like, oh, I'm still holding on to a little bit of this Christmas weight or whatever it is. But
Me
I'm
too.
like, check my attendance, right? I'm like, well, between all the stuff and kids and everything else, like I'm snacking cookies and I'm doing this stuff, right?
It's
Which
eating
is,
for me.
yeah, which is okay. Like I'm not being like super harsh on myself about it or judging it, but I was like, how's my attendance been? How's my attendance been in my training? Because like I would honestly say 90% of my diet's like it's pretty on point. It's the snacks, like families and kids is always a snack.
Yep.
But for me, it's actually the training side that's been more challenging to get in, to be honest. And that's why I do the kettlebells, because it's quick and easy. But I'm not getting in as much as I should be getting in for the quote unquote goals, the realistic goals that I want to, which is fine. But I had to check my attendance. Like attendance isn't where it's at, so I can't say I'm unhappy about the progress.
Yeah, you can't judge if it's working or not if you're not doing it consistently.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
I like that.
I think that's the biggest thing. And for so many people, like you said, it's a little bit intimidating, but it's not supposed to be easy.
Mhm.
We want you to like it. We don't want you to be like it's like a struggle each time, but you got to find something that allows you to show up every time.
Yeah, and I think if you've already identified that you need to do it, I say this all the time to our people, like you should start now, or you should have already started. If you've already identified, all the people we in the industry, we know, New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Why are you waiting? Why are you waiting?
I'm so bad at that. I'm like, I'm a Monday,
Right.
Monday, into the week, Monday.
Right. One more weekend, I'm gonna eat this whole, and I do this too, actually, with food. I'm gonna eat all this stuff, but on Monday, I'm gonna get serious about eating, right? And the same thing for fitness. Like people are like, at the end of the month, that's when I'll start. Like, why are you gonna dig your hole deeper before you get started? If you've identified it, it's time to start now. Is how I view it.
See, owners and trainers, we're human too.
Yeah.
We go through the exact same struggles. A lot of times people just assume like we have all this extra time, or because we know it's easier for us to do and it's easier for us to make it possible. It's not necessarily true. Right?
I beg my wife, Jamie, to stop letting the kids eat the stuff they eat, because I come home and I've been here for like 12, 13 hours and there's a box of Cheez-Its out. I have no self-control.
Yeah.
I have none.
But we all go through those. We're tired or we're busy. It's the simple carbs. And so, again, we're saying like give yourself a little grace, but it's easy. We all know what's right or wrong. And I think what's really good too is there's a book I'm reading right now, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Okay.
And one of the lines he has in there as he was going through his process of creating habits, becoming healthier, is just asking himself, right, is this a decision a healthy person would make?
I like that.
But there's gray area to that, because it's not black and white. A lot of times people assume like, no, I need to be strict on it. Like I cannot eat this. Like it depends. Like if you want 6-pack abs, a healthy decision for that would probably not be eating sugar for the 99% of the time.
Right.
That 1% where if you want to call it a cheat meal, whatever that is, it's okay to have it. It's okay to have it. But then you also have to assume, okay, well, I'm not getting the results on my self-audit process of my choices. this is probably why. But most of us don't want to do that self-audit process because you know
You
the
don't want to face
answer.
the hard truth.
Yeah.
We have a pro athlete and trainer comes out here, Rhea Coble. She's a world champion ultra OCR racer, and she's a phenomenal athlete. And she's made a point of telling everybody recently how she eats pizza, and she eats the things that she wants to, and she gives herself a little bit of grace. Obviously, her nutrition and stuff is on point.
Yeah.
But she does give herself a little bit of wiggle room. You know, she's going to eat the things that she wants to eat sometimes, and she gives herself a little bit of grace in that regard. So I think, like you said, we're trainers and we live this life as a profession, but you know, we all have the same struggle, and we all, you know, we've all ate the ice cream for me that we shouldn't have, and then we're still fine. We're back at it the next day. And I think a lot of people who don't live in that life, when they make the first couple of mistakes, that's when they just stop, right? They're discouraged and they're like, well, I screwed up, so I'm done. You know?
Oh yeah, they're just so harsh. And it comes to any point in life too, right? Like for us in our business and making content and trying to make all these big things, we're just like, dang man, I didn't do that. I needed to do that, that, and that. And you know, it's just I'm not balanced. It's just the priorities and just understanding that, like in some, like parents during the pandemic, like luckily for us, we were super grateful that the way our profession is and our jobs, that it was okay that our kids were at home. But like we have so many parents and people that both worked and they're working from home now, and the kids are doing homeschool. I'm like, you got to give yourself a break. Like you're like, this will be explicit episode because of this, but like your shit hit the fan, and you know, there's not much you can do. You can try to organize as best as possible, but the priorities change like that overnight.
I heard a really great saying, and it was that we're all juggling a lot of balls and they're all in the air right now, but you need to know the difference, that some of them are rubber and some of them are, you know, plastic or ceramic. And the point being that some of the balls you can let drop and it's not the end of the world and you can pick it back up later. And there are ultimately the ones that you can't, right? Like keeping your kids alive.
Yeah.
Doing the basic things. And I think of that when I get overwhelmed and I have a million things to do. I go, okay, the balls that are in the air right now, I'm going to catch the ones that I ultimately have to. And some things are going to slip through and I'm going to have to pick them up the next day and get them back in the air. But it gives you that wiggle room to, okay, I can screw up on a couple things. I can't hit 10 for 10.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'm a big fan of I don't know if you heard of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan of his.
I'm a fan of him.
Yeah. And his big thing is just context and perspective, right? And I think that sums it up so well, right? It's like, hey, at this moment in time, I got two balls falling at the same time and I got one in my hand already. Mm-hmm. Which one do I need to catch? And it's, you know, and he even says like, it's okay for you to not pay attention to your kid if you're doing something, right? Like, if that happens every now and then, like it might be important or it might not be, but you know, at a certain point, if you're doing that so much, you're letting one ball bounce, and you don't catch it, it might eventually stop bouncing and then it's forgotten.
Yeah.
So it's all about perspective and context on what you can get in and weighing those out, which I love that ball example, by the way. That's really good. And just knowing that you can't catch them all the time and you can't be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
But globally, if you're eating more veggies, if you're eating food right, if you're sleeping well and you're drinking water, you'll do all right.
If you're doing the right thing most of the time, you're going to progress the way you want, right?
Exactly.
There's some element of consistency.
Dude, I love that ball example. That was really good.
Use it.
I will.
Cheers.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, this has been great, man. I love the little riff at the end. I think that was super, super valuable, and I loved where it went. I don't have any other questions. If you don't want anything to add, we can kind of wrap it up on that.
All right. That sounds good, man.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Live Loud Life podcast. I will put in the show notes all the information about Cirrus Fitness, where you can, what's the best place for people to connect with you? Is it through the website?
Our website, cirrusfitness.com.
Cirrusfitness.com. You can buy equipment there. So if you don't have your home gym set up yet, they got some good stuff that you can do. So good stuff.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course.